here to testify in favor of this bill. I appreciate working with Senator Hawkins and you, Senator Cooter, and I appreciate, to me, it's a perfect bill to cross the line and get support from both caucuses, and that's what's exciting to me too. Because as Senator Hawkins says, this is not about a new tax, it's about giving us flexibility. And I just want to point out, I mean, we are in crisis, and I know that you know that. We have so many of our homes that are being bought as second homes, driving the price up. You know, our median price is up $700,000. We can't compete with the kind of money that can come from outside of our community. The only way we can do it is to have a source of funding that we can grab some of that housing, set it aside, and you got to bring dollars to the table in order to do that. That's how our system works. And so I've been struggling to find a consistent source of funding that we can apply to housing. And this would do it. This would take that. It's not going to solve our housing issue, but it would take a significant chunk of money that we could spend year in and year out to address our critical need for housing. What this bill doesn't do is introduce a new use. We always have a use for, could use it for housing, but it expands what kind of housing we can do. And it doesn't take away from our commitment to tourism. We have been committed. We can do all the things that we're doing in support of tourism. Our chamber, our advertising, none of that goes down. We have created so much revenue. And this is about, again, keeping that tourism to allow us to keep it and sustain it. We need to have a workforce. So this would help us. And every month, every day, every year that passes without it means that we're getting further behind. And this, we can't wait. We really need this to begin to address it. And like I said, I really appreciate Senator Hawkins in bringing this forward. And I hope we'll have all of your support across. It gives us flex.
Sorry, Mayor, the time ran out, and we got to keep moving there. They're instructed after a certain length of time to just shut the mic off, and I apologize for that, but we do it across the board, so it's fair, but I hate doing that. Anyway, I'm going to remind testifiers 2 minutes. It does go fast, so please be mindful of that. Councilmember Reister, are you here?
I'm here.
Wonderful. Why don't you begin?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak in favor of House Senate Bill 5513. As the Mayor, Carl Floria, mentioned or stated.
I'm sorry, Council Member, we're going to start your time over again. I'm going to remind you got to introduce yourself for the record.
Okay.
And again, you got 2 minutes, and they will cut your mic when the 2 minutes is up. So please be mindful of that.
Thank you, Senator Cruder. I am Zeke Reister from Leavenworth, Washington. The affordable housing crisis in Leavenworth is extreme. Presently, as the Mayor mentioned, the housing median price in Leavenworth is close to $700,000, whereas if you look at the average price in Cashmere, 10 miles down the road, it is $486,000. So there's a significant difference. Our affordable housing is impacted by many factors. At the present time, 39% of our housing stock in the city limit is second homes. Housing prices have risen 73% since 2010. Home prices in Leavenworth are 30% higher than the average house in Chelan County. So I'm giving you a lot of facts here, but I think they're important. 27% of Leavenworth households rent their homes and earn low incomes, defined as less than 80% of the AMI, or area median income. Home ownership rates have declined in Leavenworth from 63% in 2010 to 55% in 2018. We are losing our moderate income workers, such as school teachers, nurses, and firefighters. You would think the market, if it built more rental apartments, prices would decline, but not the case. We just had an influx of 200 units come in from Leavenworth House. And let me just give you a price on these units. For a 283 square foot apartment, it rents for $1,120. That's a 283 square foot apartment. So, as they said, this is not a extra cost or an extra tax. It will help us stabilize housing for our tourist industry, and it'll also stabilize and secure families in our community and help us preserve the community that we have here in Leavenworth. Thank you for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you wrapping up there. All right, we're going to move next to Stephen Wilkinson. I see you there. Please begin. And again, remember to introduce yourself, and we'll have you on a 2-minute timer.
Sounds good. I'm Steve Wilkinson, Executive Director of the Chelan Valley Housing Trust in Chelan, Washington. I'm very grateful to Madam Chairs and Senator Brad Hawkins' co-sponsorship to provide communities expanded flexibility to apply the existing lodging taxes for funding critical, affordable workforce housing. Senate Bill 5513 identifies a crucial need of the local hospitality sector, and that is the immediate existing need to have available, affordable housing to retain current valued employees and to house new employees. Much like Representative Mike Steele's esteemed efforts to provide creative legislation to support workforce housing, Senate Bill 5513 offers an important, innovative economic development tool to immediately benefit the local hospitality industry and bolster our community's collective efforts to drive economic growth in Lake Chelan Valley. Lake Chelan is a destination resort community and is experiencing soaring housing prices. A local low to moderate income wage earner cannot afford a median home price of $715,000 in Chelan Valley. Unfortunately, it is very common to hear of hospitality and tourism industry employees couch surfing, renting single homes, or commuting long distances to work in Lake Chelan Valley. The lack of affordable housing in Lake Chelan Valley is impeding enduring economic growth in both the tourism and hospitality industries. The advancement of resourceful concepts presented by elected officials such as Mike Steele and Brad Hawkins and community and business leaders will influence our community's ability to swiftly develop a healthier and more equitable housing sector. Senate Bill 5513 is a novel financial concept that also prudently established as disciplined fiscal restraints to ensure a finite funding mechanism with strong local government oversight. Chelan Valley Housing Trust is committed to responding to the housing need.
All right, I'm sorry, Mr. Wilkinson, we had to cut your mic off there. Timer gotcha. But I want to thank the panel. And are there any questions? I have one for Mayor Flory. We talked about this issue several years ago. We made an attempt to help with the workforce housing there. I guess I'd like to know if you could tell us, in terms of the problem, has it lessened, stayed the same, or grown in that time? And tell us about, in terms of the urgency of the need, if there is urgency.
Yeah, no, it is. Thank you for asking that, because it has grown. It's only gotten worse. And even during this COVID, we had more people that were looking to escape and get out of the Puget Sound region that came over, bought up houses, again, just driving the prices up. That amount of second homes has continued to rise. Like I said, without some funding stream to intercept that, we have no hope of changing that predicament that we're in. And again, this gives us some of that. It's a first step, but it's a significant first step. This 1% right now, this past year, would have created $650,000 that we could put towards affordable housing. We're a 2,000 person community, and we would have $650,000 that we could put towards significant steps towards mitigating the issue, and again, in support of our tourism industry and its sustainability. We need to be able to house some of our workforce here. 80% come from outside right now.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that very much. And I agree with Senator Fortunato. I think that this bill is narrowly tailored to help where it needs to help in the state, and also is time limited. So I think that those are good things about the bill as well. So, all right, any other questions for this panel? I'm not seeing any, so we're going to thank you for your testimony. We're going to move next to Julia Gorton from the Washington Hospitality Association. Julia, I saw you on there. There you are. Welcome. Good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I'm Julia Gorton here today on behalf of the Washington Hospitality Association, representing local restaurants and lodging establishments in every district of the state and the industry hardest hit by the pandemic. We are here in opposition to Senate Bill 5513 and appreciate the opportunity to provide comments. First, I do want to touch on what lodging taxes permitted uses, because it does appear that there's a difference in interpretations. Lodging tax is a special 2% assessment that only applies to lodging establishments, and because it only applies to our industry, the funds have restricted use to promote tourism efforts. The only county that is exempt from this requirement is King County, which the legislature allowed expanded uses in 2015. And thank you to TVW, which keeps recorded archives of the legislative record. We can say with certainty that the intent was for this exemption to only apply to King County. Currently, King County is the only county that uses lodging taxes for affordable housing. Now, having said that, we would like to acknowledge that Washington State is in a housing inventory crisis, and communities all across the state are impacted. It's not exclusive to Chelan County, and it impacts every industry's workforce. While we do want to work to address the issue, we do not believe the solution proposed in 5513 is the appropriate policy, because it will not generate enough resources to build more housing, nor does it include policy incentives or requirements to create additional housing. However, the reduction of 1/3 of lodging taxes revenues will make a measurably detrimental impact on the community's tourism promotion and hospitality industry. We do need to work to address available housing and applaud the sponsor's intent, but we believe strongly this can happen without harming the hospitality industry, as Senate Bill 5513 would do. Please do not advance this bill, and we thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Julia. All right, next we have Troy Campbell from Leavenworth Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, Troy.
Hello and welcome, and thank you, Senators. Troy Campbell, I'm the Executive Director of the Leavenworth Chamber of Commerce. I'm also on the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee for Chelan County. Until 2021, the county's lodging tax had been split between 5 nonprofit organizations who execute the purpose of the funding: a fund for countywide promotion and a fund for grants for nonprofits, events, parades, and improvements. The committee, recently seeing the growth in the funds, recommended to the county in the fall of 2021 a new structure. This structure, which has subsequently been approved by the county commissioners, now distributes the LTAC between 8 local nonprofits, a new Visit Chelan County entity, grants for nonprofit organizations, and dedicated tourism infrastructure grants. This bill assumes that no work has been done in light of the recent gains on how we were splitting that money up, which is completely false. It also assumes that it's business as usual in Chelan County, which it is not. The new short-term rental legislation that went into effect last year required STRs to apply for provisional use permit by December 31st. So far, the county has only, by the current count, the total amount applications received is 35% lower than what the county was anticipating. So the county LTAC income has recently been divided up more, and it also may be decreasing by 35%, which could be huge. For the Chamber, our funding also has provided us the opportunity to partner with the City of Leavenworth, Chelan County, and USFS and the Fish and Game in 2021 to provide recreation ambassadors at river and trailhead locations. This is an ongoing problem across the state, and our solution will be in jeopardy if this bill becomes a reality. As a recipient of these funds that support our industry, our jobs, and local economies, please do not break something to fix something else, and explore different funding ideas and opportunities like those presented in Senate Bill 6328. Thank you for your thoughtful consideration. Troy Campbell, signing off. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Jesse Boyd from the Bavarian Lodge. Welcome. Please proceed.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it. My name is Jesse Boyd. I'm on the Committee for Leavenworth Area Promotions, Board President of the Leavenworth Chamber of Commerce, and Managing Owner of the Bavarian Lodge. I'm sure by now all of you know the history of lodging tax, but for those who don't, I wanted to provide a brief overview of lodging tax and its critical use for the Chamber and Leavenworth Area Promotions. As Julia stated, lodging tax is used to assist with funding of the tourism industry for activities, operations, and infrastructure designed to increase tourism for both day and overnight guests. Funds are used by the Chamber to operate the visitor center, living wage salaries, and medical benefits for the guest relations employees, and has allowed the Chamber to provide over $60,000 in service grants to nonprofits. The funds are also used to Leavenworth Area Promotions, or LAP Committee, for marketing purposes. The LAP committee is a city-appointed committee comprised of 2 Leavenworth City Council members, 3 Chamber of Commerce board members, and 3 Leavenworth Lodging property representatives. When I say marketing, it conjures up glossy magazine ads designed to drive more people. Marketing isn't always about attracting more people. It's about managing street and providing the messages you need consumers to hear. We are mindful of balancing vibrant economic development with stewardship, ethics, and visitor education. That includes leave no trace messaging efforts and pivoting our energies to provide more travel advisory information and tools to learn more before you travel to Leavenworth. We also focus on visitation, leveling the peaks and filling the valleys for less impacts to town while also maintaining a welcoming destination to nearly 3 million people a year. I'm opposing Senate Bill 5513 because it has the potential to adversely affect the chamber and lapse future contracts and in turn reduce our ability to attract and retain visitors to the Leavenworth area, along with negatively impacting the local economy and visitor center operations. We in Leavenworth recognize that there needs to be programs related to affordable housing, but there are other bills and ideas for the additional funding that did not take from this source that is already so relied upon for sustaining our local economy. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for this panel? I have one, and I guess maybe it's for either of you. Anyone on the panel can answer this. It has to do with the potential for negative impact on the tourism. Have you done some research, or is this an assumption that you're making that if we did pass this bill and it turned out not to be true, that would be one thing. But if it turned out to be true, if we could somehow end it then, I'm trying to figure out what is the basis that you think that this will, it's not a new tax, it's just, transferring what already is there in order to help the workers that you need for your hospitality and tourism to be able to live in the community. So your thoughts on that?
Yeah, thank you for the question, Senator Couture. There are a lot of studies on the impact of tourism-related marketing and how that translates directly to communities and increased spending in other sectors as well that we would be happy to forward to you. I would also add that we would think this bill would be compounding because Washington State certainly spends far less than neighboring communities and states on its statewide marketing promotion, which leaves all of the heavy lifting to local communities around the state because we don't have as large of a robust statewide program. So I think it would have a compounding impact to remove those local lodging dollars when there's not a larger state effort as well.
Okay, I appreciate that. I guess the trouble I'm having is that not all tourist attractions and activities are the same. Some don't need any advertising, quite frankly. And some do. So I guess that's Mr. Campbell. You have a response to that?
Yeah, just the response is, again, I think a lot of people, when they think of marketing, they think of us doing ads to bring more people. And that's not always the case. Our visitor centers phones are blowing up right now, helping people get unstranded to find out how their travel plans might be adversely affected by the declaration. We help people through natural disasters, when there's smoke, when there's fire, when there's all those kind of things. We help educate people on when to come, when not to come, what is happening, what's been canceled, what is happening, COVID restrictions, and putting all that together. So there is a lot more work that goes just beyond trying to bring more people. It's also educating the people. We have over 2 million unique visitors that come to our website every year, and we need a staff, and we have created an expectation on our visitors to provide them the services and the information. And that requires staff, and that requires ongoing work year in, year out. It's not just about attracting new visitors. It's about those fans that we already have, making sure they get the right messages and the right information about visiting and when to visit and what there is.
Well, good. Thank you. That's helpful. All right. I don't see any other questions. So we're going to thank this panel for their testimony. And Madam Vice Chair, would you call up the last 2 panels?
Absolutely, Madam Chair. Next, we have Diane Blake, Mike Cooney, and Tom Neese. Also, we've got, after that panel will be Bruce Beckett, Sasha Slayman, Hans Mulders, and Kaylin Bettinger. Welcome.
All right, do we have, I see Mike Cooney. So Mike, why don't you start, please?
Thank you, Senator. And thank you for the time. And thank you to, everybody says it, but I mean it. Thank you for all of the work that this housing panel does. I don't know if I
Mike, I'm sorry, we're going to start.
My name is Mike Cooney. I live in Chelan, Washington, and I have not a better view on it, but a unique view as a former small business owner on Main Street in Chelan, as the former mayor of Chelan, and as the one of the original founders of the Community Land Trust, which is called Chelan Valley Housing Trust. I think it's a unique view as far as affordability. I'd like to make a mention that I don't think this is an either or proposition. I think it's a very unique bill that Senator Hawkins has brought forward. I also would like to recognize Representative Steele, not only is his work in the Capitol, but his work as the chamber. The chamber has been a large donor to get affordable housing going in Chelan. We built 5 homes and we sold them for $200,000 in the face of average home price being $715,000. I think that's remarkable. It's not an either or. After all the budgeting done this past October and last October, the city of Chelan fully funded the chamber and has all of their projects funded, and there's still a pot of money. So it's not either or. I think the visitors to Chelan and Leavenworth would like to know that they're helping out the housing crunch. I challenge you, you go to MLS Chelan and you won't find a home for sale. Or nothing that anybody can earn, or what the people earn here can buy. I think a really cool thing is that this Community Land Trust is servicing people that are making between $45,000 and $65,000, and that's the missing middle. There is a ton of effort done, state and federal, for 80%.
You need to wrap it up, please. Oh, I'm sorry. He just cut it. Okay, thank you, Mike. And I do want to just thank you for the time I was there in Lake Chelan. It was really lovely. I have some incoming, not sure what that is. Anyway, we're going to move next to Tom Neese. Welcome, Tom. And you're on a 2-minute timer. Please be mindful of that. Introduce yourself and please begin.
Thank you, Madam Chair and committee members. To testify in support of Senate Bill 5513. My name is Tom Neese. I live in Wenatchee, Washington. I serve as the Executive Director of Serve Wenatchee Valley and also am the founder and board president of Common Ground Community Housing Trust, a housing trust that was formed here in 2020. Wenatchee has increasingly become a bedroom community over the years for workers in Leavenworth and Chelan. Certainly the affordability challenge has impacted us here in Wenatchee as well, further forcing people farther away from the areas of Leavenworth and Chelan to be able to find affordable. It increases their travel. This problem is going to continue. It's not going to be solved by market rate solutions. Market solutions are not going to be able to fix this problem. It's going to be require active participation of communities and local jurisdictions to address it. We also believe the affordability problem that we have is not going to go away, and our focus really needs to be on permanent affordability. The Community Housing Trust and other permanent affordability program models that exist in our region can deliver housing units with a market correction to deliver this inventory over years of time, if not generations to come. The proposed change to this lodging tax allocation will allow local jurisdictions the flexibility to appropriately align their needs for tourism dollars with the need to provide affordable housing so that the people can live where they work. It is necessary for communities to actively pursue solutions, and inventory is not going to be added without dollars like these making that possible.
Please, Tom, I need you to wrap it up, please.
All right. Thank you so much. This is essential for communities like this. And I appreciate your time and willingness to listen to me today.
Thank you. All right, next we have Bruce Beckett from the Wenatchee Valley Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, Bruce. Good to see you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Happy New Year. This is Bruce Beckett on behalf of the Wenatchee Valley Chamber of Commerce. And I first want to just point all of you to a letter that was submitted to each of the committee members, a joint letter from the Lake Chelan, Leavenworth, and Wenatchee Valley Chambers on Senator Hawkins' bill. But first of all, it goes without saying that we are very grateful for Senator Hawkins for elevating and prioritizing availability of affordable housing. And Senator Cooter and members of the committee, many of you came over just before the pandemic and spent a day in Wenatchee learning about some of the housing issues related to Chelan County. And one of the key things that would emerge in that, and I haven't heard any data to take contrary now, is at that time, only 27 homes were for sale in all of Chelan County over that year. There were less than $300,000. So that's a real fact pattern that I think points out the problem here. We do think there's an alternative to diverting resources from tourism efforts. We suggest that the committee revisit Senate Bill 6328 that you passed unanimously in 2020 to allow a pilot project in Eastern Washington with a remittance of the sales tax on infrastructure for affordable housing. It had an AMI threshold that was negotiated with the affordable housing community. I think Senator Hawkins' bill actually does a better job on that. And one of the beauties of bills like this coming up is other ideas begin to get floated and heard and discussed. And I've heard about maybe there ought to be the ability to use some of the .09 funds, which you're considering some extensions of this year for these kinds of purposes, because the case laid out by Leavenworth is compelling and across the region, but we do think there's different ways to tackle it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much.
That was actually pretty good. He was the head of the Wenatchee Chamber of Commerce.
Sasha Slayman.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Sasha Slayman, and I'm here today representing the Chelan County Board of Commissioners. I am the Housing Program Coordinator and the Economic Development Director here at Chelan County. We've submitted written testimony that kind of gives more detail to the committee on the position of the Board of Commissioners. But we want to thank Senator Hawkins and Senator Cooter for bringing forth this bill. You've heard from so many people the crisis that Chelan County is in. I understand it's not completely unique. The whole state is in this crisis, but we are just in such a pickle right now and could really use your help in finding a sustainable funding source and a sustainable solution. So thank you to our Senator Hawkins for bringing up this conversation. The Board of Commission feels that, and we're signed in as other, we feel that lodging tax dollars is maybe not the best funding source from this. Like Bruce actually just mentioned, we think we have other options, including that .09 fund, which is RCW 82-14-370, and possibly taking some time to look at other funding streams. We administer a grant here at Chelan County for infrastructure using those dollars. And we thought about maybe alternating those dollars each year, and those dollars grow, and that's up to $1 million that we could be allocating to housing projects in less time than what could be extracted from the LTAC dollars. So we just are looking for some flexibility and sustainability. As Housing Program Coordinator, I come across a lot of red tape trying to help nonprofits and housing trusts. So having that 120% AMI is so key. So we just want to continue the conversation and really appreciate your attention to housing affordability and helping us with this crisis. Thank you so much.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Mr. Mulders, you're up.
Thank you, committee, for your time. Senator Cooter, There was a gentleman, Frederic Bastiat, was a
Can you
French
watch this?
economist.
Please, could you please name yourself for the record?
This guy's just a
My
random
name is
business
Hans
owner in Leavenworth.
Mulders.
It's really quick.
I am
He's
the
the last
owner
one.
of the Obertal Inn in Leavenworth, and also the owner of Leavenworth Vacation Homes and Bavarian e-bike tours. In the early 1800s, Frederic Bastiat said, when plunder becomes a way of life for a group of men in a society, over the course of time, they create for themselves a legal system that authorizes it and a moral code that glorifies it. And that is what we're dealing with here, ladies and gentlemen. 1 in 335 people in Washington State are homeless. We have a workforce in Leavenworth that cannot afford to live here. The latest ice storm that we had here, or the latest snowstorm that we had here, proved that point. Every single business and restaurant was closed in town except for Dan's, who employs local employees. Our employees cannot get here. The other thing is, I'm sitting here in my $1 million plus home while my employees live 30 to 40 miles away and have to drive here. It is unbelievable that this is allowed to continue. Is this bill ideal? No bill is ideal. There are always prices to pay by someone and benefits to reap by others. In this case, the benefits would be reaped by those that are in the lower income levels. And I am in 100% support of that. The entire opposition is rooted in the fear that something is taken from one and given to the other. The mindless selfishness of this opposition is bonkers to me. I own a business. I directly am impacted by advertising dollars spent by the Chamber of Commerce, by a variety of entities. I have been phenomenally successful in the last 11 years here in Leavenworth. I have made more money than I ever imagined possible. And it is time for me to give something up. Are you prepared to do that too? That's the only question before this committee. Are you going to do something? Because nothing has been done, nothing is done, nothing ever changes. Do your jobs and get this done. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate the passion very much. And we have one final witness, Kaylin Bettinger. Kaylin, are you here?
I'm here. Hi.
Hi. Please state your name. You got 2 minutes and please proceed.
Great. I'm Kaylin Bettinger, Executive Director of Upper Valley Mend in Leavenworth. I'm testifying in support of Senate Bill 5513. Thanks for the opportunity. Our organization is the Leavenworth area's main human services provider. Our services help thousands of low and moderate income community members each year, including many of our local workers. From my experience, I believe this bill will benefit our local workforce and businesses by providing additional housing in 2 much needed areas. The first is affordable rentals. Our organization regularly receives calls